everybody. This is Art Manville. Welcome to the webinar today. Yvonne and Eva Marie, are you on the line?
Yes, we are.
All right, we're going to have a fun time today, and I appreciate everybody coming on the line today. Got a great webinar lined up today featuring a couple of definitely our top leaders in our business, and we're grateful to have them as part of our team. Thought I would just show you a little picture first of Terry and I up on the left-hand corner with Sherman Unkefer in Orlando. And here's a new picture from me in my business attire. You know, and actually you can see that things are warming up here in Washington because I have my short sleeves on here, but I still got those slippers on. And this is our Japanese garden on the one side of our backyard. You know, we've done an incredible job of creating waterfalls and backyard here that is just like a little piece of heaven. And in fact, this time of year, we're eating outside all the time. Terry, who would have believed 5 years ago that you would have a little Japanese garden like that?
Well, that was truly a dream come true for me because I do love my plants and flowers and being out in nature. And so it's a way for me to express my joy. And so I'm very grateful for Zango for helping us have that dream come true.
Exactly, and what do we owe a lot of this to, of course, and the ability to change our lives and change the lives of thousands and hundreds of thousands of others is this incredible juice, the #1 mangosteen supplement in the world, the #1 fastest-growing health supplement in the world, $1 billion in 5 years of one incredible product. And Terry and I have been working from home for over 20 years. We've never seen a product like this, something that can literally change people's lives. If you can just get them to try it and take it right, it can be absolutely phenomenal. And it's just a dream come true to be able to work with a product and a company like this that is so focused and such great founders. So before I bring our guests on here, I just wanted to remind you, all of you that are listening here, to just don't take this call for granted as if you're watching some sort of a movie. We are a storytelling business, right? And your story and the stories that you tell are the most powerful thing that you have. So part of what we're going to do today is we're going to tell a story, aren't we, about this incredible couple from Wenatchee, Washington. And in fact, we have a kind of a joke between us that I tell Eva and Yvonne that I can tell their story better than they can tell their story because I have distilled their story down to its essence, you know. And the thing is that I think a lot of times our stories, we don't really know what they are, and we don't really enunciate them or organize them in a fashion. So I encourage all of you to think about how powerful your own story is, your own why, your own results on the product, your own desire to do the business all becomes part of your story. And the way that I like to tell Eva, Marie, and Yvonne's story is that here they are. Yvonne was 40 years in the aerospace industry and retired just before getting involved in Zango. He basically retired, got married, and created a brand new business in Zango. He'd never done any network marketing before, and here they are a few years later in this sort of retirement, still honeymooning, I think, and have built a six-figure income in Zango. Incredible story. I'd like you to join me and clap, although we can't hear you, and welcome Yvonne and Eva Marie Sarda to the call. Are you guys there?
Yeah,
we sure are,
Art. There, Art.
and thank you for having us on.
Thank you.
It's a real honor to be here.
Well, you guys have done a phenomenal job, and I want to say this, first of all, that you are one of the hardest working teams in our entire organization. You really care about your downline. You make countless phone calls into your team. You call people. You never give up on anyone. And you are definitely a couple of our top leaders, continuing. You're very focused. You work your business every single day, and the results show for that.
You know, you make it sound like a lot of hard work, and well, there is a lot of time that we put in, and a lot of phoning, and a lot of meetings. But I'll tell you something, for both of us, this has been the most enjoyable, fun experience of our lives. We can't wait to get started in the morning. Can't seem to get it shut off in the evening. It is just the most positive, most enjoyable thing we've ever done.
Well, for those of you that don't know this, Eva Marie is the only only person in our current downline that was somehow involved, or at least it was a distributor with her other husband, I should say, 20 plus years ago in our very first opportunity. Isn't that right, Eva Marie?
Yep. Long history there.
Long history. You're the only one that was willing to follow us through all of those ups and downs and disasters. Of course, you weren't involved in all of those, but you got involved in this one.
Many lessons learned in those. But you know what? Even though some of it was a little disaster, it could have had different turns, it all was up to us at that time. And we really learned a lot about ourselves, I think. And when we have a great company, stick with it. And Xango is a great company. And, those are the lessons that we learn, that when you find a company that has the leadership of Xango, that has the product that Xango has, my goodness gracious, feel very blessed and just build your business and feel good that it's going to be around for the next 20 to 30 years.
Yeah, I had to laugh, Eva, this week here. I pulled up the full I pulled up the free newspaper here. Now, this is a full-sized free newspaper that we have in our local community. And on the very front page, dominating entirely the page with, I would say, at least a third to a half a page ad, was an ad for Lose Weight Now.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So our very first opportunity, yes, in case you haven't guessed it now, was Herbalife. And, of course, people are saying, oh, Xango, I think that one is finished, or they've done their deal or something. And here, 28 years later, somebody is so excited about Herbalife that they have spent thousands of dollars on a full-page ad in a local newspaper.
Well, Art, that you know for a fact that your upline sponsor in Herbalife stuck with it, and he's a multimillionaire now, and it just shows you. When we left Herbalife, it was sort of it's done, it's finished. It's 8 years. They had some bad publicity, and we decided that it's not going to happen, and built it on sand. Really didn't communicate the same way. It was really expensive doing network marketing in those times. Phone bills of $2,000 a month.
Right.
It was outrageous amount of product you had to buy. I don't know how anybody actually made it. But the ones that stuck with Herbalife, who stuck with it, who knew they had a great company, they became wealthy. And we are just starting. And interesting enough, when we quit, it was I think Herbalife had been around for about 8 years. I can't quite remember. But we quit, and I actually met some people that got on board years after we quit that became a millionaire in Herbalife. So,
exactly.
When some people kind of give you that, no, it's over, or let's get to something else that's just starting, just the warning lights come up. Really a strong one, because from then I've hopped to many different network marketing companies over time, as I did my real job as well, and it wasn't successful. So,
well, you've done a fantastic job, both you and Yvonne, and it's just a great combination of you bringing a little bit of your network marketing experience, and Yvonne bringing 40 years of business experience. Yvonne, before we just get into the essence of this call, I really felt like that one of the keys to your success is just that, that history of corporate America. You've always brought a sort of a solid business kind of mindset to your Xango career here.
That's right. Our old habits are hard to break, and our advice to everybody in our organization, everybody who joins from scratch, the first thing we tell them is that you can be as successful as you want to be if you treat this like a business. If you treat it like a hobby, you're going to make income that you would expect to make from a hobby. If you treat it like a business, you are going to make money commensurate with being in business.
Well, it's funny. We talk about treating it like a business, and we're getting a little off topic here, but I'd like you, what is treating it like a business look like for you, just for the people that may not really understand what we're talking about?
Well, for me, the most significant thing, and by the way, this is true not only in network marketing, this is true in the conventional business model as well. The single most important thing is to focus, to know what you want from your business, to concentrate on it, to work on it all the time. And by the way, if you have the right mindset, working on it is a pleasure. I mean, even in the aerospace industry, I had fun every single day of my life. I mean, I was one of those weird guys that couldn't wait to get into work on Monday morning. But stay focused, have a business plan, know what your goals are, know what you're going to achieve in the short run, know what you're going to achieve in the long term, and stick with it.
Yeah. In fact, somebody asked me the number one key, if I could say in one sentence, what is the key to our success? I'd say the power of focus, which means focus to me means continually putting attention on your business. And this is the biggest problem that new people have is continuing to hold their attention on the business. There's a lot of other things going on in your life, but every day, you know, you've got to put some effort into your business and keep focused on it until you figure it out. So anyway, let's jump into the main topic of the call, because you guys have just returned from the Elevation Retreat, Zango's annual perk for premiers and up. And this was in the Grand Cayman Islands. I have a picture of the hotel from the Zango website. What was that like?
It was absolutely unbelievable. I mean, we have been to almost every major event in the last 5 years, and I think I can say without any contradiction from Eva Marie that this was emphatically the best. Several of the owners were there, gave inspiring talks, plus gave us a lot of information, and I think one of the reasons that it was so informative and so enjoyable is that everybody was in an extremely relaxed mode, and everybody was not only willing but eager to talk about their businesses and the lessons that they'd learned, and in fact, some of the things that we learned, as a matter of fact, most of the things that we learned did not come in the formal presentations or in the formal meetings. They came from talking with other distributors. A case in point, when we came back from Orlando after the introduction of 365, we decided that we were going to call everybody in our downline and get the ball rolling on 365. And we found that very few people had heard of it. And we had been sending out emails. We had sent out announcements. We know that you and Terry had sent out numerous announcements. It was the announcement of the new product was on both websites, and so we thought, my gosh, we must be doing something wrong. And we were determined when we went down there to learn from these other people what it was that we were doing wrong. So the first question we asked everybody when we talked to them was, what are you finding out in your organization about the awareness of 365, and what are you doing? To a man, 100% of the people there had exactly the same experience that we had. They had notified everybody with blanket emails, and then they had started calling them, and they found that the awareness of the new product was almost zero. So the object lesson there is, if it's something important, don't rely on email. People don't read them.
Yeah, exactly.
Get on a telephone and tell everybody and anybody about it. So that was a great lesson for us.
Yeah, email is great for follow-up, you know, as part of your strategy, but there's nothing like picking up the phone and talking to people. And I wonder how many people on this call right now have at least called the people that they have personally sponsored and said, hey, have you heard about this new product we've just come out to about 365, and actually talk to people. And so I encourage you to do this. At least let people know what it is. I mean, we're always going to lead with our juice for the most part. I mean, our juice is our flagship product. It's the one that you've gotten results on. But every member of your downline pretty well is taking vitamins. Why not buy from their own store? And why not have your own vitamins that you're consuming? And so, you know, it's important that you let people know about it, and you get on it first. You cannot expect anyone in your downline to do something that you aren't doing. So are you taking 365, and have you replaced your vitamins with 365? And then you can simply call up the people that you know and promote it that way, right?
Right. And by the way, if that was I know that was a rhetorical question, but I'm going to take it as a specific question directed at us. The answer is yes, emphatically. We started taking 365 as soon as it was available at Orlando, and we replaced, literally, we have 2 shelves in our kitchen devoted to vitamins and supplements, and we replaced all of that stuff with 2 little boxes, one for Eva Marie and one for myself, and the results, in spite of being almost saturated in supplements, after 4 days of replacing all those other things with just the 2 little packets of 365 every day, we felt a significant difference.
Yeah, it's a good feeling of well-being that you get from it, and it doesn't mess you up like a lot of vitamins that are basically synthetic. You know, they can give you nausea and all kinds of things. So.
And they can get stuck in your esophagus too.
Yeah, exactly. Eva Marie, did you want to make some comments on the 365 here before we move on a little bit?
Well, I just want to make a comment on the beautiful sandy beaches in the Cayman Islands and the beautiful water, and also the great friendship that we actually develop on this trip. There are so many wonderful people in Zango who are working this business, and we're all on the same page, you know, and everyone goes through the same struggles, the same problems. No one's more different, but, you know, they just stay with the program. They communicate with people. That communication is so the key. But we really made some great friendships from that trip, and it just gives you solid belief in this company and the owners. Gordon Morton was there, and Kent Wood and Brian Davis was there as well. And, you know what? I'll have to make a comment on Kent Wood. We were sitting at the breakfast table, and Kent Wood came up to the table, and Candy Webb was there. Candy and Webb there, of course, 200K in Zango. And they came from, he was an architect, I believe, before. And Candy Webb said to Kent Wood, you know, thank you so much for everything you guys have done. You are absolutely awesome. This is just, first-class trip. And Kent Wood said, hey, you know what? I have to thank you guys, because if it hadn't been for you guys, we might be having this meeting in Motel 8.
Yeah, right, yeah.
It just shows how humble he really is, and how grateful they really are to the distributor, and how well they treat their distributors, and it's just really cool.
So what else did you learn there, Yvonne? I know we've got a couple slides of that we want to show in a second here before we bring on some pictures of Doug Wee, the feature speaker. What else did you want to talk about today that you learned there?
Well, I think one of the most important ones was some information on the effectiveness of tools. You know, we always talk. You always talk. We always talk about letting the tools do the work, and it's you know, we never know whether that message is getting home or not, but there were some numbers presented at the meeting that really shows that we're on the right track when it comes to tools. If you compare the retention rate of people who buy tools right up front with those who don't, it goes something like this. If you don't buy tools up front, if you don't get involved in the CDs and the brochures and the newspapers and things like that, after 1 month, the retention rate is 73%, and after 9 months, the retention rate is 28%. And if you do buy tools, then after 1 month, the retention rate is 87%, and after 9 months, the retention rate is 73%. So that basically, after almost a year in business, the retention rate with tools is the same as the first month retention rate without tools. That is a staggering difference in the efficacy of business building.
Yeah, well, you know, let's face it. Those are people that made a decision to treat this like a business, right?
That's exactly right.
And so once they
Exactly
decided to treat it like a business and they got some tools, then these tools, became, first of all, when you get tools out into your network, you are learning, that person is learning more about the juice, more about the company, so they're educating themselves, which is going to reinforce why they would want to stay involved in Zango. And plus, then they're more likely to pass those tools on to other people and further educate them. And so tools are absolutely essential, and we've got some great tools in Zango. And I understand, Yvonne, that there's going to be a big push coming up here with a lot more tools available from the company.
Yes, the company has hired an expert, John Godzich. He's an expert. He's known as the father of retention because he's been in the MLM industry for many years. He realized many years ago that one of the problems with the conventional MLM companies is turnover, so that you're always bringing in new people to replace the ones that leave, so you have to run like crazy to stay in one place. And he determined years ago that really the best way to build your business and the most effective way to build your business is to work on retaining the people that you've already signed up. So he is coming in to oversee the development and introduction of new tools. There's going to be a de-emphasis in the store on swag and an increased emphasis on tools. And when that announcement came out, it brought down the house. Everybody at the meeting was thrilled with this change in philosophy.
Yeah, actually, did you have something, Eva?
Yeah, well, I was going to say is that we actually have samples of the new Wellness and Success newspaper that has a 365 and the glimpse in it. You get that from Sound Confidence 1X Tools. That's the brand new newspaper that has a 365 in it and a half a page on glimpse. And plus, of course, it has Dr. Templeman in there and testimonials for individuals. So that's a really good brand new newspaper that's just come out, by the way. And also, they have the new GoPro 2. They're just $14 a month with ADPs. Build business skills with monthly motivational CDs and DVDs from the company, and they are very, very helpful. So you may want to consider that if you're building your business.
And the name of this newspaper gives a hint as to the slight change in focus that the newspapers are doing. It's wellness and success. So there is a significant number of pages devoted to people's business success stories, as well as a lot of information from Dr. Templeman and testimonies from people on the health benefits. So it's one other thing. On the front page of the paper, there's a huge reproduction, about a third of a page high, of a picture of a Zango bottle that actually says that this is Zango. Most of the other newspapers have emphasized the fact that it's mangosteen, and there's not much mention, if any, of the brand name of the juice. So this brings it right out front. There's a picture of the bottle of Zango, and there's a picture of 2 boxes of 365. It is a great tool.
Yeah, I highly recommend, and we're recognizing as we're going along here and that we're learning that we have to do more to promote our brand, which is Zango, and emphasize tools that talk about Zango and the brands of our products rather than emphasizing so many tools that are just about the mangosteen. And actually, I think this is a very powerful direction. It's funny, I started off by saying we are a storytelling business, and the company itself feels like they need to make a better effort to tell the top leader stories. And now there's going to be a big push towards, and I talked to Aaron Garrity about this, about really sort of building and validating and reinforcing the stories and the power of the success stories that our leaders have already created in this company.
That's great.
Absolutely. By the way, the other thing in reference to tools is they're going to be launching the Glimpse tools in September and October, which is really great.
Okay, let's talk about the featured speaker, who is a very, very famous guy. His name is Doug Weed. We've had him at Elevation before. He has spoken at convention. He is a former White House consultant. He's written a number of books. He's an incredible speaker. There's no question about it. I mean, he is just absolutely riveting. And in fact, Yvonne, I've got some pictures of him that I found on the internet here. You know, here he is as the featured speaker in Moscow at their Olympic Stadium there. Packed house. You know, it looks like about 50,000 people here. And then another one in Indonesia. And so he's a very famous speaker, and he's been very close to a lot of the Zango founders for a number of years, and he's going to be helping Zango develop some of its marketing philosophy. Is that right?
That's correct, and he's going to work much more closely with the company he'll be on tour quite a lot, doing motivational speeches and motivational teaching at company functions, and you're right. He is absolutely electrifying, and the first convention that we went to, he was the keynote speaker, and I thought at the time that it was without question, hands down, the best speech I had ever heard on any topic. And then the following year, he was the keynote speaker again, and again he outdid himself from the first time. And it's really interesting. Like you say, he plays to packed houses of 50 or 60 or 70,000 people in soccer stadiums, and in this case, he was playing to a packed house of 200 to 300 people in a significantly smaller room than he's used to, and he puts as much into it for that small audience as he does for the 50 or 60,000 people. He is absolutely. You're right. Everybody was on the edge of their chair for the 40 minutes that he spoke, and his topic. Usually, he speaks on 2 or 3 subjects, and in this event, he spoke on one. And as a matter of fact, after about the 40th minute, he said, "Well, I'll bet this is the longest speech you have ever heard that was on one topic, on one subject." And the subject was cooperation. He said, "There is no." He said, "You can become a 1K and possibly a 5K by yourself, but you can't move beyond that without enlisting help from everybody in your organization, people from other organizations, people from your upline, people from your downline. You have to look upon this as a group venture and a team effort. And if you do, the world is your oyster. If you don't, you're doomed to remain a failure."
Actually, that's a very good point, and we've got a lot of the leaders on the call here, so I wanted to make a point that this is a challenge that a lot of you have out there, I know, is you're shifting from it's all about me to it's all about the team. And a lot of people have trouble making that shift. In other words, if you can sponsor people, that is one thing, and bringing people into the business is one thing. And some of you are very, very good at sponsoring yourself. However, you're not as adept at building teamwork and working with your downline and helping them sponsor people and supporting them. It's a different kind of skill. It's a different kind of mindset. And so if you find yourself getting kind of stuck where you're bringing people into the business, but you're having trouble motivating people to do the business, or you're having trouble finding business builders, you realize that you need to work on your own leadership skills. And you need to shift from just thinking about yourself and who have I signed up and what have I done to what can I help my team do. It's a totally different thing, and this is a stumbling block that I see in our networks. You'll get through it if you stick with it, but unfortunately a lot of people, they will start a lot of sponsoring activity, and they haven't learned the skill of building teamwork and haven't learned the skill of inspiring and supporting their downline. And so they get discouraged when none of the sponsoring seems to build a network, right? And so that's a skill that you have to learn, and it's a different process. It's one thing to sign people up. It's another thing to build an actual network out of the people that you sign up.
You know, interesting enough, Doug Reed was saying that the principle team working and promoting people. You keep promoting people all the time, and he gave a really good story in reference to him buying insurance and how this other guy promoted the other one all the time. So, you know, a triple braided cord cannot be broken, he said, and you have to. There's two ways to motivate: money and recognition. Recognizing your leaders, recognizing the individuals as well, and also he said you get loyalty when you give loyalty. And then he said, I thought it was so neat, said that nothing wrong with selling a dream if the dream is a reality, and Sango is a reality. And you create excitement in your voice. It's how excited you can be at the product. But he basically talked about the teamwork and the team building and how powerful that is. I just want to, this is just one little sidetrack here. We just happened to pick up a CD that we listened to on the way to Monroe as we were going out there talking to people. And it's a 7 Steps to Seven Figure with Priscilla Harris and Susie Jackson.
Yeah.
We thought it was a really well-done CD where they actually role-play for three-way calling. Because we talk about three-way calling, but people are not sure how they initiate it and exactly how they go about it. I tell you, these 7 steps really give you a very clear idea of exactly what you do, and they do a role-playing, which I thought was so well done that I thought was well worth mentioning.
Yeah, actually, Eva Marie, I believe that is still available online at McCarthy Central. Linda and Mike McCarthy, 500Ks, great, the downline, great team builders. Priscilla's in their downline. I think it's McCarthyCentral.com, and you can look at Priscilla's corner, I believe it is, and then you'll see 7 Steps to Seven Figures. I believe that is still online. We had her on as a guest a few months ago with the McCarthy team, and she absolutely, totally understands the three-way calling concept.
Exactly. You can actually get it through x1tools.com as well. That's where we got it. And but, you know, I thought, well, that really nailed it, along with what Doug Reed is saying. But again, people are brand new in there. They've never done this in the real business world. You don't do a three-way, you know. That's not normal. So it's a difficult one to wrap yourself around, but by all means use it. So
7 Steps to Seven Figures by Priscilla Harrison, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
excellent.
Very good stuff.
Excellent. Yeah.
You know, another point that Doug Weed spent a lot of time talking about is the business of not letting your personal emotional problems get involved. And he says, you know, we all have people in our downlines that we can't stand. And he said one of the problems is that the mindset goes something like this: oh, this guy's a jerk. No way I'm going to work with him. When in fact, the guy may be a jerk, and he may be completely different from you, and not have much in the way of commonality, of philosophy or anything else. But he might be exactly the guy you need to help build your organization. So you have to put personal opinions aside and look at people from a business standpoint.
Well, you know, some of the greatest leaders are the ones that are the hardest to work with, you know.
Yes.
I mean, because they all have their minds made up of how they want to do things, and there's a certain amount of power in wanting to just call your own shots. So sometimes the people you can't get along with is because they just are good leaders and have their own mind set up, and basically what you have to do is just try to support their intention wherever it lies as much as you can.
That's right. You know, I learned that lesson 40 or 50 years ago now. One of my first bosses in the semiconductor industry was a genius. He had one of the most significant patents in semiconductor technology had his name on it. But he was an almost impossible personality. Nobody could get along with him. But I figured out how to get along with him, and in 2 years with working with him, I learned more about the chemistry and physics of surfaces, which are critical in semiconductor technology, than I could have learned in a 6-year college course.
Because you found a way to get along, right? Yeah.
Because I found a way to get along.
I'm just throwing up a picture here. It looks like you guys had a lot of fun. This is around side the pool in the Caymans, and actually I think that might be Pat Petrini or something sitting there. But this is on your final night, it looks like, and people are actually eating with their feet in the pool. Is that right?
That's right. The pool is huge. It's bigger than an Olympic-sized swimming pool, and around the outside edge is a shelf that's about 6 or 8 inches under the surface of the water, and the shelf is about 6 feet wide. And so they set up tables on that shelf so that people who were so inclined could eat dinner there and keep their feet cool. It was a really neat thing.
The company loves to have fun, and we had, a band, a limbo dancing. Oh my gosh, it was just a ride, incredible food, and all the Sango you could possibly want to drink. I mean, we would be drinking a bottle of Sango just at the table and for breakfast. But you could see that this company really does everything first class, and it was a great fun around the pool. That was the final night. Yeah,
this is the final night. So this is a perk, is an annual perk. For those of you listening, when you hit the level of Premier, you get a free trip to Thailand. But that's once, right? And that's an incredible trip. You definitely want to get there. But once you've done it once, well, then you get these perks, these annual visits to exotic places where they pay for your accommodation and all of the meals pretty well, and you actually just pay for your airfare to get there. Any last thoughts on Elevation and what you got from it before we move on just a little bit?
We're planning next year's in Hawaii. So get there, you guys. It's going to be at a Turtle Bay Resort in, I think, Maui, Hawaii. But yes, the spirit of this company, it's so much. It's so great. You have so much fun. I mean, you do have a really good time, and you don't want to miss out on this. And we have such great vacations with Sango, and they allow you so much free time as well, so you can go out and do your own thing, and then mix in with people. And yeah, by all means, you just set your goals, you guys. You can all do it. If we can do it, you guys can do it.
The thing that that really struck me is that this resort was filled with competitive Type A personalities, right? Everybody there was a successful business builder, and the sense and feeling of cooperation. People were willing to tell everything they knew and all the secrets and all the tricks that they had employed to build their business. There was absolutely no holding back. It was the most wonderful sense of cooperation that I've ever experienced.
Hey, I just have to show this picture, this last picture. I heard that a lot of people ended up in the pool based on some sort of a dare. And here's a picture of Gordon Morton with his clothes on in a swimming pool. Tell me you guys jumped in the pool with your clothes on.
No, we
didn't. As a matter of fact, we were down on the other end of the pool when that was going on.
Yes. We did.
And also you combined some team building on your way back. I don't know if this picture's on your way there or your way back. You met with some of your leaders in Florida in a stopover. And this is a picture. Is that right?
That's right. We've got a downline in the Fort Lauderdale area, and on the way back, we wanted to stay there as long as possible. So we caught the last flight out, which left there about 6:30, and so we couldn't get a flight from Miami back to Seattle that evening, so we decided to stay over, and we called our group there 2 weeks before and said we're going to have an overnight layover. Well, with the delays and customs and immigration and everything else, we finally got to the hotel about 9 o'clock. Our team showed up there at about 9:05. And we broke up the meeting about 12:30. We finally got to bed at 1 o'clock and got up at 5:30 the next morning to catch a plane.
But what a wonderful group they are, and they're getting such great results on the juice. They're just some awesome stories, and again, we just adore this group. They're really wonderful, wonderful people. People that we never met if they hadn't been in Sango. So that's really an exciting part of this business.
Well, thanks a lot, guys. We're going to talk a little bit about convention coming up here because I know you've been doing some special work on convention in your team. November 6th to 9th, Salt Lake City, of course. This is an old email here, so a lot of these hotels are getting filled up. And if you haven't booked for a convention, definitely you're going to want to get there. And I just wanted to talk about, I was on Chris Jordan and Sean Pring in Cass's team. I was on one of their calls, and they were asking me about convention and why should people go to convention. And so I recalled this slide that I had showed a long time ago, and this is a slide. And I said, well, what they asked me, what was the number one reason that people should go to convention? And I said the number one reason is for the level of certainty that you can get from your attendance at an event like this. We went to our first convention as 5K distributors, and there were 17 of us. And gosh, what did we come away with from that convention? It was such an incredible level of certainty that we absolutely knew this company was going to be huge and that this was going to be a phenomenal opportunity. And so whatever you can do in your business to increase your level of certainty, everything starts from the inside out, doesn't it? Everything starts from the mind, from your intention, and from your level of certainty. And what would you do? Bob Schmidt had this thing. What would you do if you absolutely knew without a shadow of a doubt that in 1, 2, or 5 years you would be earning a six-figure income in Zango? What would you be doing? And so the only thing I think that is presenting you, or one of the great challenges that prevents you from being able to manifest that reality into your life, is your level of certainty. And so I have this little chart on here. Is if doubt was a number one, which means doubt would be, a zero would be somebody that wouldn't even sign up. But a number one, the way that I'm defining this here, would be somebody who, you know what, I could never build a business like that. I don't think anybody would listen to me. I don't know anybody. I don't have any time. Just full of excuses. That would be doubt. And number 10, absolute certainty, is what I've already talked about. If you absolutely knew that without a shadow of a doubt you'd be earning a six-figure income, you would be conducting your business entirely differently, wouldn't you? And so the problem is most people are down here, 4, 5, 6, 3. And then and Yvonne, you were talking about this, with the emotional ups and downs in a business, people waver constantly up and down the scale. They're a 7 because they just signed somebody up, but then somebody dropped off auto ship and they're a 3. And when they're down here, and basically this is where people quit. When they get below about a 5, they start to fall down into doubt. And they stop coming on conference calls. They stop talking to people. I've called this the pitfall, falling into doubt. So that's why it's so important, of course, to do whatever you can to increase your level of certainty, and this has to be done all the time. That's why these webinars are so important. That's why continually talking to new people and sponsoring new people into the business is important. That's why local events are important. You've got to continue to feed your mind with a level of certainty, or else you're likely to slide down. This is like snakes and ladders here. You climb up the ladder to certainty, or you know how fast you could slide down those snakes all the way down to doubt. Somebody can go from a 5 to a 4 to a 3 to they're done. They're out. And so convention becomes the number one thing in Zango to increase your level of certainty. The number one thing that you can possibly do. And so, but here's the other thing. Gosh, guys, you've got to start thinking like leaders. So it is not just about you going to convention. That's not it. It is about you committing to convention with an intention and with a passion to bring as many of your team with you to convention. That's the whole key. Why have you as a high level of certainty by yourself? Why not have 5, 10, or 15 of your team members? Now, for you guys that have been in business for a long period of time here, and I'm going on a bit of a rant, I apologize, but for you guys that have been to conventions before, I want you to set goals at having new people there that you have sponsored. Brand new people should be your focus for this convention. It's real easy to sing to the choir and to approach people that have already been and are going again. Those people are great, and you want them there. But if you want to build a business, you can tell how strong and powerful your next year is going to be by how many new people that you personally sponsored that come to convention with you to what? Increase their level of certainty. And as it increases their level of certainty, guess what? It also increases yours. And so that's a little teaching I wanted to do on convention. And I know, Yvonne and Evermarie, some of your team members, especially in the UK, are really working this right now.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, the two guys that you mentioned, Chris and Sean, went on a campaign starting. They just started it this last week. Their plan is to talk to one person a day, one new person a day who's already a member, about coming to convention. And in the first 2 days that they were doing this, they got two different commitments. So they're batting 1,000, and they're going to have a huge contingent at the convention.
And you can imagine that all the way from the UK, you guys. I mean, they have to take an overseas flight. There's a lot of money involved with that. And so it really gives a little excuse for us who are actually in the United States not to really promote this to everyone, to all our leaders.
Well, you know, the key is that they've made the decision that they're going and that it's important. They know how important events are. And so they're working with that level of intention. I've got another thing here I wanted to pass on to you. You know, I'm a kind of an observer of the Mariners baseball team, and I don't like to watch too much on TV, but I kind of keep in touch. And of course, they're having a very bad year, right? In fact, a lot of people thought at the beginning of the year that they were going to contend for at least the division lead, and instead, at the All-Star break, they had the worst record in baseball. And all of the team members, all of the people that are in the team except for one or two are underperforming. They're having, you know, the worst years of some of the worst baseball years of their life is all this year. And so as a team, they are actually doing very poorly. And, of course, that feeds into the individuals within that team, and most of those individuals are experiencing a down year, a group down year. And there's a couple of exceptions. One of the exceptions is a fellow by the name of Raul Ibanez. And, in fact, they're talking about trading him. He's having such a great year. In spite of all of the challenges that he's having with that team and the adversity the team is going on. They've fired their general manager. They've fired their manager. They've let a guy go that they paid $14 million a year for. I was reading in the paper just this morning. He hit a grand slam yesterday. He's leading the team in RBIs and is almost to his full potential as a player. And I thought, wow, doesn't this apply to the business? He says it's a clean slate every time you go up there, and the quicker you can let go of negative things that happen, the quicker you can get back to focusing on the things that you need to do. Wow. So it's a clean slate every day you get up, guys. Every time you talk to a new person, it's a clean slate. And you're going to have negative things, and you're going to have challenges that happen in your business that are going to affect your level of certainty. And the quicker that you can let them go. So all he does is when he gets up in the morning and he knows there's a game on, all of his thoughts are focused on what he's going to do that day. And he's putting anything that happened yesterday behind him, all of the challenges that he has faced. And he focuses on exactly what his job is to do. And so in spite of all of that, now this guy has tremendous focus that he has not fallen in to the consciousness of this team that is doing so poorly. And so it's really about being professional. You're a professional. You're building a business. It's a clean slate. Well, we're just about done here.
By the way, I would just like to add one thing to those comments. your comments are really hit the nail right on the head. Baseball is a mind game. Given that you have the basic physical skills, the rest of it is all in your head. And winning teams win, and teams in trouble seem to sink deeper and deeper if they let the mind games get to them. And what we tell our people when they're talking to new prospects, especially if they're doing telephone prospecting, if they get 4 or 5 no's in a row, they've got to talk to the number 6 guy as if he was a brand new prospect. And the only way, when you pick up the phone and call the 6th guy, he doesn't know. He has no idea that 5 people have just told you no. And the only way he can figure that out is by the tone of your voice. So you have to look at him as if he were the first guy of the day and be just as enthusiastic and just as happy to speak to him as you were with the first guy.
Wow, yeah, I mean, it ties right into what Raul Ibanez has said. So every call is a new slate, and if you have a bad experience or something happens to your downline, you've got to be like the donkey that shakes himself and lets, gosh, that's another joke. There's an old farmer, I'll have to tell this one, that had this donkey that he was trying to get rid of. And it was an old donkey, didn't know what to do with him, and so he decided he had this hole on his property, and he was going to push the donkey into the hole, and then he couldn't kill the donkey, so he decided he was just going to bury them, right? And so he got the donkey, pushed him into the hole, and started shoveling in the dirt. And, of course, the donkey is thinking, my gosh, I can't believe this guy. I've been loyal to him all of these years, and here he is shoveling dirt. He's trying to kill me. I can't believe he would do this to me. Look at all the way that I've served him. And so the farmer was looking down, and the problem is that every time a shovel load of dirt would land on the donkey's back, he would shake it off and step up. Shake it off and step up. Until basically the farmer gave up because the donkey could not be buried. So every time you've got some kind of a challenge, somebody shoveling dirt on your back, you've got to shake it off and just step up. So that's a little story I just wanted to toss in here. We had a couple of minutes left.
Great story, Art.
That's a great story. That's really funny.
So what's coming up next week? We got Dr. Ahmed Tula again on July 23rd. These are becoming very, very popular webinars. You should be wanting to get all of your product-oriented folks, your customers, your distributors that are just interested in the product. There's no business on these webinars, guys. And so they're for 2 purposes, in my view, to help you understand and learn more about the juice, but it's also there to help you validate the power of this. This is a world-renowned doctor. It should be one of your goals every week to get one of your customers or product users on this webinar and invite them out. Also, Andy Willoughby has his Promise Co-op webinars every Monday night. And the last one was one of the best trainings that I've ever heard with doing cold marketing. And you can go to promisecoop.com, go in the training archive, and look for this webinar done by this fellow from Canada. Gosh, it slips my mind what his name is, but it was a phenomenal webinar. If you guys remember the name, let me know. And here is the big news to close out the call. Yes, we are having one of the biggest webinars of the summer. I'm telling you, this is going to pack the house. We're going to have a Glimpse pre-launch webinar with Gary and Beverly Hollister on August the 2nd. I want you to gear up for this. And so you've heard a lot about Glimpse, and we've heard a lot about the product and the inside scoop. But this webinar is going to take a little different angle, and it's going to talk certainly about the product and the technology that we've got, but it's going to talk about it a little bit more from a marketing angle. And Gary Hollister, of course, has not really been on an official webinar to talk about Glimpse, the former CEO of Merle Norman that helped guide them from $60 million to $250 million a year in sales, has a different kind of credibility, doesn't he? And so he's going to be talking about the market potential and why he thinks this is like the first new technology in skincare in the last 20 years. This is going to be a very powerful webinar you want to build up for our new product that's launching in the fall. Glimpse pre-launch webinar August the 2nd is absolutely going to pack out. There'll be people coming in. You'll want to get on that one early. So, Eva and Yvonne, one of the things I wanted to say before we wrap it up, at a time when economic confidence is down, this is the time when more and more people are looking at a business. I was on the phone with one of our leaders from Ireland last week, and he's really getting active in his Zango business. He hasn't done a whole lot. He's been busy doing other things. He said, with the downturn in the economy, he says, basically, I'm in the computer industry in Ireland, and with what's happening in the U.S., my business is down. He says, I've always wanted to do Zango, but I haven't had time. He says, now I've got the time. And so he is actively building his Zango business for the first time. I mean, he's always been kind of involved, but getting more involved all along. So this is a great time to prospect because more people are open to a business. And some of the people that you've sponsored that aren't doing anything, you may want to talk to them about your plan B. What are you doing to prepare for this negative economy that's going on here? Don't you think it's wise to get another income stream going in this great company and great product? Anything you guys want to add before we close up the lines?
Just one thing. One place where it's great prospecting these days is in the real estate market. You pick up the paper every single day, and there's some other disaster on the rate of foreclosures or bankruptcy of mortgage lenders. So real estate is in tough shape, and realtors are perfect people for MLM. They've got a wide range of contacts. They know how to work the phones. They know how to take rejection without getting upset about it. So if there are realtors in your area, by all means go and talk to them. And a very powerful tool to help you with the presentation is a CD called Do You Rent or Own Your Business?
Yes, exactly. And somebody is reminding me that the fellow's name that I'm looking for, thanks Nancy Hunselman, Chuck Guvett, G-U-V-E-T-T. You'll see him on the great training. If anybody's interested in working in the cold market, the radio is the only place I really recommend. And Chuck Guvett, or G-U-V-E-T-T, from Canada, actually. That's the name you look for under the training tab. Anything you wanted to add before we close out the line, Eva?
Oh, no, just want to thank you, Art. You're a great leadership, you and Terry. That is why, working as a team, exactly. And your leadership and your focus has really helped us with the business, so we really, really appreciate it. We are so lucky that from the time you were 1K, you started these calls. You took all that leadership role, and we're very, very grateful for that.
Yeah, guess what? We're approaching 5 years from sign-up here. So thank you both for coming on. Really appreciate your leadership and how much you care about your downline, and you're a great asset to not only our team but Zango as a whole. So thank you both for coming on the call.
Well, thank you. And there is one other thing I want to say.
One more thing, like the Columbo thing, right?
That's right. I can never stop. But your example of taking 17 people to that first convention, we use that example all the time when we talk to our organization, because of the 17 people that you brought there, you have numerous 100Ks, numerous premiers, and you're a 500K. Yeah, and you guys were there, right? We were there, exactly. And you were part of the 17. Rod and Shannon Culp, 100Ks, were part of that. Cliff Rosang, Premier. I think Audie was there, Premier. Yeah. So thank you all for coming on. Thanks a lot, Eva, Marie, and Yvonne. There's our new front of our Becoming a Premier. This is where people should go into our email list. If you're not entering people into our email list that you sponsor that have a business interest, you're missing the boat. They're not getting into this list here. They're not getting the notices of these webinars. And so you can send them to becomingapremier.com, or you can enter their email, and they'll get a confirmation on that. And so that's where people go. And this is where we have webinars that are upcoming or always on the front. If you didn't get the email like some other gentleman there, we have those on the front.
And then there's our back office with all of our training that you can log into, and all of our previous webinars. Thanks to Sam White for recording all of those. That's where you can go get training. We're going to be updating our Getting Started training. And, of course, this is free website right now, and we appreciate all of you that are involved in it. So thanks a lot, Eva and Yvonne. Listen, I would like to just open up the lines that you can give them like a little cheer for all of their efforts and for being 100K leaders in our team. Thanks, Eva and Yvonne.
Thank you, Eva and Yvonne.